My ex-boyfriend was charged with SA last month. He raped a woman in South Carolina. He's being charged with first degree SA, first degree kidnapping, and assault and battery in the first degree. So this is a part two. I posted a video last night of, basically the whole story of how I met him, how he already, before I got with him, he had already did 20 years in prison. I did not know the crimes that he did. I thought it was him, just being a drug dealer. I knew nothing about his violent past and how he has put his hands on women, beat women. He's very violent. Okay. He has a very long history of being violent towards women, which is part of the reason why he ended up doing 20 years in prison. For context, go watch my first video that I posted last night. You will understand the entire story of how we got here. Okay. I was only with him for about 3 months. And in those 3 months, he was extremely violent towards me. He begged to be with me, claimed that he had changed his life, turned his life around after he got out of prison. He wanted to start a whole new life and do right and all that, and had all these plans. That motherfucker was a monster towards me. And not only was he a monster towards me, like physically assaulted me, got on top of me, SA'd me, all this while I was with him in those 3 short months. I also witnessed him be very abusive towards his mother. He threatened to slap her. I saw him pull a knife and point the knife in her face. So he has this very aggressive, violent behavior. That was in 2019 when I cut him off and moved on. I made 2 attempts to get a restraining order. I made 1 attempt in South Carolina, and it was denied because the judge refused to see. I brought evidence. I had text messages. I had evidence from his probation officer. Me and her was texting back and forth, and she was instructing me on what to do. His probation officer actually had contacted my employer and gave them a heads up. So she was in communication with my employer down there, and she was communicating with me through text. So I wanted to show the judge I had evidence that he kept calling me. The breakup is done. He wanted to be with the baby mama. So I said, fuck it. Let the bitch have you. Leave me alone. He still continued to call and contact me. And I kept record. My job kept record. I brought all this to court. The judge refused to enter it as evidence. This is South Carolina. South Carolina is one of the top 10 states with the highest domestic violence rates of women ended up in homicide. South Carolina is, they play for the men. They stand behind men abusing women. It's a very misogynistic state. However, my ex was allowed to bring his lying ass mama to court with him as a witness. This is the same woman that he disrespects. The same woman, he threatened her in front of me, threatened to slap her. He pulled a knife on her, brought the woman to court. She sat there and was his number 1 witness and lied on my character so bad, painted me out to be this villain. They said, she said, me and my son are scared of her. We're terrified. Lied. All this to stop me from getting a restraining order. She witnessed her son put his hands on me. She saw the bruises. She saw his fingerprints. There were fingerprints of bruises of him strangling me in my neck. His mama seen it all. She knows she raised a monster, yet she still came to court and lied and defended her son just to stop me from getting a restraining order. So when that fell through, I went back to New York. He still kept on social media stalking, trying to, talk to me, get my attention. I reported him in New York. New York gave me a restraining order. Shut that down. I had him served. I contacted the sheriff's department in South Carolina. They pulled up with the restraining order from New York, and they served him in his fucking house. I was not playing with him or his fucking mama. So I wanted to do this part 2 because a lot of y'all have questions. They're like, how was he able, if he already served 20 years in prison for doing violent crimes towards women, he assaulted 2 police officers, he led police on high-speed car chase. Like I told y'all in the last video, they wanted to give him 40 years. He ended up getting 20 years. So part of his probation, when I got with him in 2019, I believe he was on probation for 5 years. That's with good behavior. He probably could have gotten off earlier. However, when I was with him, he had me helping him break his violation. I drove him to North Carolina because he had like a side hustle. And as you know, ex-convicts are not allowed to leave the state. They're supposed to get permission from their probation officers. They're supposed to tell their probation officers everything. He was being sneaky. We had drove to Atlanta. I drove him to North Carolina. And I had evidence. He was texting me from North Carolina. He was getting some money, a side hustle. So when we broke up, I sent all that to his probation officer. I said, he's been violating probation. I put a police report in. I reported all that to his probation officer. So I think he got in trouble. I don't know if they put an ankle monitor on him, but I believe, I don't even know right now if he's off probation. He would have, the 5 years would have ended last year in 2024. But because he's been acting on bad behavior, and Lord knows if he's done anything else, I'm willing to bet he's gotten into more trouble after I broke up and moved on. So what ends up happening, they can revoke his probation. They can revoke it or either extend it. So if his probation has been extended, then that means the charges that he got last month. Again, if you want to know the charges, go to my video that I posted last night. He was arrested last month in May. First degree SA, he raped a woman. First degree kidnapping and first degree assault and battery in the state of South Carolina. They should have never let him out. His bail was set at $100,000. I believe the SA charge is $40,000 bail. The kidnapping charge was $40,000 bail. And I think the assault and battery, I may have gotten it mixed up, is $20,000. So all that combined is $100,000, and I guess 10% of that is $10,000 to bail him out. So when I went to see his mugshot, I Googled everything. His mugshot, the charges came up on the internet. I noticed he had stayed in jail for 3 weeks. So that says to me, his family probably didn't want to post bail, or they didn't have the money, or even if they had the money, they probably did not want to let him out. His family is probably tired of him. I sat back and watched his entire family. They are extremely dysfunctional. They're tired of dealing with him. In that little bit of time I was with him, his family was exhausted with him. But they tolerated him. So maybe his family didn't want to bail him out. Maybe they wanted to keep him in there for a while. Maybe they struggled with coming up with the 10% of the bail. I don't know. But I'm like, why is he sitting in jail for 3 weeks? That's another thing I noticed. So we have to see if he was still on probation from his 20 years. They gave him 5 years probation from the 20 years he served when he got out. However, because of bad behavior and violations, I reported him. So he got in trouble for what I reported him for. They will, revoke or extend probation. So I'm wondering if he was on probation currently, he's really in big trouble. He's in big, big trouble. Time will tell, and I'm sure I will find out. But my heart goes out to the victim. I 100% believe he's guilty. He has been abusing women since I found out extra information that when we were in high school together, he was raping girls in high school. He was beating his baby mothers in high school. Where does his behavior come from? My ex is 100% a sociopath. And I honestly, after I, looked at his family and tried to figure out why they are so dysfunctional, it's clear to me his father is a very big abuser. His father was extremely violent, beat the living daylights out of him when he was a young boy, and he beat his mother. And I think my ex has these issues towards his mother for not protecting him or leaving his father. So he takes it out on every woman. He has mother issues, a mother wound, and he takes it out on every woman he's been with. And I honestly believe because he hates women so much, I think he is on the down low. If he spent 20 years in prison, there's nobody cannot convince me that he did not sleep with a man and he prefers men over women. And that's where he's headed. I hope he's happy when he goes. He's institutionalized. He cannot function out here in society. He is really messed up.